Well, I'm Colin Campbell, and I do part of a national television gardening program in Brisbane, in Australia. I do a gardening talkback radio program that I've been doing for almost 28 years in Brisbane, and I write Queensland's gardening column in the local Queensland paper, the Courier Mail. I've written a book, and I write a number of magazine articles, and we take garden tours around the world and around Australia, and when I had time I'd sleep a bit. One of the reasons we came here is, I've never been to the Rhododendron Festival in Taranaki, and the other is to suss it out, because you can guarantee this time next year I'll have a whole lot of people behind me saying, "Where are we going next, Colin?" Well, they're all different. Every garden's different, and that's one of the appeals. For me, having studied horticulture in New Zealand and then went to Australia for 35 years and come back, a lot of the plants that I used to be familiar with I've lost touch with, and I can't even remember their names now, which is embarrassing. But obviously the rhododendrons and are just marvellous to see, and this certainly is a highlight. But the great diversity of plants in all the gardens we've been to is really special. The skill of the gardener in designing their gardens and laying them out is another feature that really is. Some of the gardeners may or may not have qualifications, and I think a lot of them haven't. But they've displayed incredible plant knowledge and skill in designing the gardens so that they get the very best out of them. At the end of the day, and this is one of my criticisms of garden judges generally, and people who judge, they become too technical and they forget that they can look at all these. And I've been to the Chelsea Flower Show, and I've been to the Ellerslie Flower Show, and you see, and you walk past and people say to me, "Why did that one win a prize?" And I say, "Because it's very technically excellent." And they say, "But it looks awful." And I think the thing is that you've got to, in the end of the day, it's the wow factor is what sells to gardeners. And when gardeners walk into a garden and they see colour and just beauty, they stop and look at it. And that's the essence of a good garden, I think. Oh, the first seed, I don't know. My dad, I grew up in a place called Sedgemere, which is out of Christchurch. And my dad was a great gardener, and he taught me how to garden. And I've been gardening for the whole of my 49 years. I'm really more than 49, but the mileage I've done makes me look as old as I am. But no, I honestly can't remember the first thing I ever planted or grew. I guess it would be a vegetable, because that's all we did. But I do remember that I lost interest in gardening when I got to a certain age, because I discovered alcohol in women. And so I stopped gardening for a while, and then I went back to it though, and so I've enjoyed gardening. Gardening has been so good for me. Look, I don't think it really matters too much. I think if you're going to have a great garden, then most of the good gardens I know has a very enthusiastic gardener wife, and a compliant husband who's prepared to dig the holes and shift plants, and I'm one of those as well. My wife is a very good gardener. I have a dent in my forehead from saluting and clicking my heels and saying, "Yes, dear, we'll move that plant if you just say so." And so it really does help if you've got two people. If one's got more knowledge than the other, it's a lot easier than if they've both got an equivalent amount of knowledge, because then they argue about it. Yeah, because one thinks they know it all and the other one does. So if the other one admits that they don't know as much, well, then it's a lot smoother sailing. I just can't imagine doing anything else, because look at me today visiting these fabulous gardens, and what I do for work, other people do for pleasure. So how could you ever replace that?